follow it and do it. Okay, and you will see a change in the way that you play. I sure have seen a change in my own playing. The various chord combinations I'm going to show you today are actually going to show you how to come up with your own ideas. And what we're going to do is we're going to study how each of the three of these musicians, Mr. East, Cornell, and Wendell, and we're going to look at how they approach just one part of a song. So basically, when they hold that note, the bear, okay, the word is bear there. And they each have a different approach, a chordal approach that they use on that note. And we want to study the differences between these approaches. All right, so let's get started. Okay. Now let's look at the approach. This is Rodney East. And grieves to bear. Okay, so on that. Now, let's see what he's doing here. Now, I already told you before, we don't want to teach just notes. We want to teach approaches, because it's approach that's going to help. And so what I want to do is, he's in A flat. So okay, so basically what he's doing here is he has a G minor 7, and then he has a C with a sharp 11, okay, and then he goes to an F minor 9. But more importantly, the way I would look at this, and I want to examine both of these guys when they hold that note bare. When they hold that note, I want to look at it both from a melodic framework and from a harmonic framework. Now, Rodney, if I'm looking at it from a melodic framework, I'm going to look at it like this, because melodic, think melody, one note. I would say that that's the melody that's driving the chord structure that he's using. Watch this. I'm going to play that melody when he gets there. Okay, and then he goes to da da. I should have did it quickly. So hold on. Right, heard that? So da da da. So that's the melody. Now this is approaching it from a totally different angle. Instead of approaching it harmonically, that we approach it melodically. Yes, the B is being held, but the notes that are dominating within that structure of chords would be the da da da. Listen to it again. Let's sing along with it, just so you can. See, you hear that? You hear that? So, if you're looking at it from a melodic approach, then you're looking at just one set of notes that you feel are dominating the progression. Now, if I look at it from a harmonic approach, then I'm looking at it in terms of chords. And then how am I going to do that? Right there, I'm going to... Okay, so now I'm looking at it harmonically. So then I would say what's dominating there is a B flat chord. Now, some of you are going to say, but that's not what he played. He played this. But no. Listen. We are looking at it from an analysis point of view and from an improvisation point of view of how you would do this same song. You don't want the note for note. You want the harmonic analysis, or you want the melodic analysis. Let me go back to the melodic analysis. By using a melodic analysis, I can say I can totally change the chords because I'm focusing on the I'm focusing on the melodic part of it. So, right, I can go. Right, I can totally change his chord because I don't even care what I'm playing so long as I'm using the melody. Right? Da, da, da. Remember, because that was the melody. So I don't even care. The chords almost don't matter so long as, I'm keeping that melodic structure. But now if I'm looking at it from a harmonic point of view, now I'm thinking in terms of chords. So what were the chords that he used, right? And so if I look at it like that, then I'm looking at this as a... I'm going to look at it as a B flat. Then I'm going to look at it as a C Lydian. So basically, I'm going to look at it as, if I'm doing harmonically, I'm going to go, and then I'm going to look at it as a C Lydian, which is sharp 4. So basically, if I look at it as, this is okay, I don't want to see this as a G minor 7. I want to see this as a B flat chord. So then, see how that, so I'm going to look at it as a B flat. Now, I can choose to play a G on the, on the bottom if I wanted to give it kind of a harmonic, maybe counterbalance of sorts, but I'm still looking at it as a B flat kind of sound, right? I'm looking at it as a B flat sound. And then for my next chord, I'm looking at it as a C Lydian. Now I have a lot of choices with how I want to approach that. Right? Or all of these notes could be flat. Or, right? But I'm kind of looking at it come from a C Lydian concept. Now, remember, I'm looking at this harmonically now. So harmonically, I'm thinking chords. I'm not thinking one note like I did melodically. I'm thinking chords. So I'm thinking B flat chord. I'm thinking, and of course, this is a B flat inverted. I'm adding a 2, but essentially the chord quality is unchanged. Then I'm thinking of a C Lydian, and then I'm thinking of F minor 9. And depending on my approach on how I want to view what he's doing, which is why I say that there's, you can have 50 people say the different thing and we all be all right. We all be right. Because this is the way that I could look at it, but it can give me ideas on how I'm going to play it. Because I don't want to play it just like him, right? But that's his, okay, so let's go back. His melodic structure is, his harmonic structure would be, and now you're saying, but I thought you said F minor 9. Yeah, I have, that's the voicing I have in mind. This is an F minor 9 voicing for me. I'm just not playing the F on the bottom. Okay? But I'm emphasizing the notes in the F minor 9 chord. I don't know if you see that. Some people are confused. See, it just depends on how I choose to voice that. I'm saying F minor 9 in voicing. Okay, so that's what happens when people get so stuck with just the literal names of the chords that they, call it what you need to call it for the sound that you're trying to hear. All right, now let's go to the next person because I want to move on. Approach, I'm going to say, and my perspective is that the first approach was almost keyboard-like, and I'm not saying this in a bad way, but I'm talking about in terms of the voicings that were used, that are voicings that would also work very, very well on a keyboard. Now, that is not always the case with organ voicings. And in fact, I believe that the notes, for instance, that the last person used, Wendell, won't work as well on a keyboard, but can work on an organ. But that contrast that to in this one, I think his approach, it works very well with the keyboard. Now, the next guy has an entirely different sound. And where that sound comes from, I'm going to say that he has in mind an orchestra, an orchestral sound. The way that he's moving it, sure it would work so well on a piano, but would work very well with strings and other orchestral instruments. A slight change of key to A to kind of indicate to the next guy, you know, you may want to take it to A, ends up in A flat, but the next guy says, you know, I heard the change to A, so let me go to A. Now he's going into A. Now listen, these chords here, very strong quartal chords here. And this isn't even the point of my video. I'm just kind of giving some comments right here. So that first note, you see how all of these notes are separated by perfect fours, right? And the quartal sound, the perfect fourths, you know, when you play notes that are given by perfect fourths, they give you a very strong, very dominant like sound. And even when he changed the key up a half step, he does it once, right? But he does it even when he does his inversion, he still maintains the quartal sound. And even that part there, right? That part, quartals, perfect fours. Perfect fours. So his playing and his approach is a very, very dominant sounding, very strong approach to chords, right? And that you know, but that's not the point of my video. So I'm just kind of giving some quick comments here. Actually, did I miss the bear? That's the part that I was looking for. Yeah, here it is. There it is. All right, here we go. All right, so we analyzed Rodney's approach to this one section on the. Remember, we said melodically it would be right, and we harmonically we said it would be. That was Rodney's. Wendell's approach. Let's look at it melodically. What one tone would you say would be the overriding theme of that section? Let's listen to it. Here it goes. Right here. All right, see, let me do that again. Now I know it's hard to focus on one note, but see, when I am transcribing in my head, I kind of have a note that is dominating over the others. That's kind of providing a melodic structure of sorts that I'm kind of following in my head. Now stay with me to see where I'm going with this, because by following one note instead of thinking in terms of chords, it kind of changes your perspective on things. Now let me show you where I think the melodic structure would be. Here it goes. You heard that? Da 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 da. All right, so that's the melodic structure. Hear it. Okay, that is approaching it strictly melodically during those chordal progressions. I'm going to play those notes. I don't want you to listen to it. Sing along with that. Here we go. Here we go. Okay, so now that's one way. Remember, we're holding that B. We're holding that B. So we're holding the B. Now, now this is going to be so cool. Because he's established at the beginning his motif of wanting to use a stronger dominant sound, even though melodically he's following that structure, harmonically his chords are going to follow more dominant sounding chords, right? So there could either be quartal chords, maybe dominant. We're going to guess that he'll probably use some dominants, maybe some tritones, because these are very dominant, very strong sounding chords. So let's see what he uses here. So that one. So that one. All right, so G major 7 for the first one. All right, let's see the next one. Ah, stop it. Now look at this. Interesting. Because I would see this as a, let's look at this as a, in the left hand being an F dominant 7. Strong, remember that? Strong sounding chord. Right hand, a G major chord. Together, inverted, right? The second inversion. So that's one way to look at it. I mean, it's a dominant 7 chord because that A, is raised up here. How about we move the F and the B? Let's move the two ends of the chords, and you have, a sort of quartal concept here. Point being that you have a stronger sound within his chordal progression. Okay, now that's just, remember, the first chord is, remember we're following melodically, we're following, but harmonically we're going. Okay, let's see what that next chord is. Now this video may go over some people's heads. You're gonna have to just watch it twice or 3 times. That one. I'm gonna call it as this. So first chord, second chord, third chord. Now, what is this? Same thing. Remember, he likes a dominant sound. Left hand, dominant 7 chord. C moved up. Right hand, major chord. Interesting. He went from dominant 7 on a major, dominant 7th, and a major. And the first one was a G major 7. Did I do that one? Oh, no. So, dominance again. Look at this. Look at the pattern here. Because again, by doing this, we kind of get into people's heads. The idea is that you kind of get in their heads and kind of see their approach on how they would have approached, not the song, not how you approach the entire body of work, just how he approached this passage of music, right? And that part there. Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna call it that. Now let me see that chord again. Yeah, I'll call it that. I'm having to use my ear just to figure this out while I'm doing it with you here. So okay, so all right, so our first chord would be this. Then we had that second chord there, right? And then we had the where was I at? Yeah, and then that last chord, in which you can't. I mean, you can't be surprised at this chord that we're using a dominant, D flat dominant 7, and a G major again. Okay. All right, so let's take a step back. Let's review here. Melodically. That's melodically. So you can just do chords. You can do chords that would go along with that. And then harmonically, it would be strong sounding chords in his approach. And my hands aren't big enough to play this B on top. Okay, but there is a B that he's holding. All right, now let's look. I skipped Cornell for a reason, okay, because I need to show you something. So we've looked at Rodney melodically on that one phrase. We looked at Rodney's approach melodically on that phrase. We looked at Wendell's melodically on this one phrase. We looked at Wendell harmonically on one phrase. So now we need to look at Mr. Cornell. I saved him for last because he is using the most advanced concept on that phrase, okay? On that one phrase. Because people love to pit musicians against each other, and it's really not that, okay? I'm just looking at how each of them approach this one spot of the song. And now let's listen to what's going on. Now, believe it or not, that is the same portion of the song. Okay, let me play it while he's playing it so you can hear it. Here we go. Dun, 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 dun. All right, now someone's gonna say, "How in the world are you gonna show us this?" Well, we're going to show you melodically. What in the world is happening? Check this out. Here we go. Right now, a lot going on there, but what you're going to need to do, and what I need you to do, don't skip and just rush through this part of the video. I need you to hear the melody that's happening during this part that is dominating the chordal progression. And you need to be able to not only play it, but hum it and sing it at the same time. This trains your ear to be able to hear within chords. So we're going to do this maybe once or twice. Okay? I want you to listen to it again. I'm going to play it the first time with him so you can see the melody that I'm emphasizing during that part. And then we're going to sing it together, and then we're going to move to the harmonic one. Okay? Oh man, my keyboard won't even play because of the let me see if I can hold on here. Maybe if I add another instrument. All right, let me try this again. My keyboard was cutting off, so I didn't like the way it was doing this. Here we go. All right, now that's a pretty advanced melodic line that he's using there. Some of you may say, is it representing any kind of a scale or mode of sorts? I mean, in a sense of, looking at it from the B, some of you may call it a B, B major harmonic scale, but I wouldn't so much see it like that. I would just look at the notes independently. Let me try this again. Try it again. Try to sing it. It's kind of difficult. Right, now, harmonically, go over that part of the video until you can kind of hear those tones protruding out from the chords, and kind of start training your ear. That's how you kind of start training your ear to hear between, not just chords themselves, but melodically, hearing a melody line. you know, existing with the chord, okay, that you can kind of pull out of there, that you can kind of pull out that chord. Now, let me do this one more time. Now, let us try to figure out these chords here. Well, I'll tell you this. On the first chord, it will be okay. So the first chord is a major F, a G major, G flat major 7. Let me raise the volume here. Okay, so in my mind, I'm thinking, well, each one of these notes, so what kind of makes this more complicated and difficult sounding in most people's mind is that if I'm, you know, and then when he goes back up to here, that he has a different chord for each note of that melody line. So what those chords are would be the issue. So for the I would just hold that G flat major there, but he's emphasizing that melody from there. So it is a G flat major 7, F sharp major 7, but you know, the melody is the da da da, and then of course the next one would be F minor 9. I'm gonna have to go through this kind of quickly here because I don't want to. All right, now, so harmonically, here are the chords. The first one. Okay, so we have G flat major 7. What key is he in? A flat? G flat major 7. And then F minor 9. Then I would look at this as a G flat chord over an E. If you wanna bring that in there to give it the dissonance, making it a dominant, you can. And then the next chord would be the next line in the melody would be that E. So with that, you're gonna play a D. So it's an E chord with a D. Now, if you're thinking D chord, a D major chord, you can throw that F sharp in there and the A, of course. Then he goes down a half step to the E flat. So take everything down a half step. Then when he goes to the C, the notes would be a, you can kind of see it as a C minor inverted chord with a B on the bottom. And then when he hits that B, you're hitting an A. The B is in the middle of an E flat major chord that's inverted, but the melody following the melodic line is there, and actually he's holding an A on top still, or A flat. And again, so this is how that chord looks. Now, I usually don't go this far in my YouTube videos. I usually kind of do this more in my teaching videos that come with the MIDI files, but I kind of wanted to show you that chord structure. Okay, so let me see if I can show it on the screen here. Right, because that A is being held on top. Okay, so let's summarize so far what we have. We've just looked at one passage, and we looked at Rodney East, Cornell, and Wendell and we looked at how each of them approaches the same spot of the song melodically and harmonically, which is something that you can also implement, but it's important to understand from both of those points of view. So Sean, you said you were gonna show us how we could do an approach that'll totally bring us chords that we've never heard before. Well, yeah, because the chords are up to you. I mean, what have we been doing this whole time? I showed you Rodney's chordal approach. I showed you the chordal approach of Wendell and Cornell. So you think of a melody line that will work while you're holding that note. And you kind of experiment singing, because you can't sing 3 notes at a time. You can only sing 1. So what my point is that when you're getting at a place where you're trying to figure out, well, what progression should I do? Try a melodic approach. Try to sing notes that you think will work within the space, and do chords that complement those notes. Right now, Sean, you never show us any of your own ideas, but well, actually, I have, because those of you who say I haven't, there are videos where I'm showing myself. But you know what? Let's do Sean's. Let's do a Sean approach. Okay. So now we're gonna add a 4th one in the mix, just to show you this, that we can have from a melodic approach come up with a totally different sound, totally based on your melody. All right, so we have a different keyboard here. Now check this out. Totally different melody line here when we get to the... Now watch this. And then... How about that? How about that? What's my melody line? I'm thinking of a and I was thinking that's what I was thinking, kind of in my head, right? So chordal approaches to that would be heard that? Now you have to hear this. You have to hear this with the B flat in there. Right? And then by the time I get to the middle here, I'm not thinking of that B anymore. And then the reason I did this is because I'm thinking of a G in the bass. That's kind of the approach I'm using. So bass line, I'm thinking ba-da, and then ba-da-da. All right, so I'm thinking wait, what did I do again? Oh no, I did this. Right. Now I know I'm not gonna remember this. Is this on record? Because I'm not gonna remember what I did. My brother used to ask me when I was 17. He was like, "Show me that progression." I could never do it over again. So my memory hasn't gotten any better. But that's one that will work. Again, the chords were formed from the melody line. You don't have to think of elaborate melody lines. You know. You could do that, right? And keep it simple. You don't have to go way out there, doing all that stuff. But my point is, in showing you these chordal progressions, is that we're not just mashing chords here. We're thinking melodies. We're thinking in terms of what the melody is and what you want it to be. Experiment a little bit. We just have 4 crazy melodic approaches on this one note, and we could just keep going on and on. And actually, we have 5 if you use that last one I did. And we can just keep on going on, and you will amaze yourself at how the kind of melodies and chords you'll come up. But guess what? You know I like to go here. Yeah, you know I like to go all in at the end of my videos. There is something that is greater than a melodic or harmonic approach. There's an approach that will give you that will totally supersede all of these approaches and make your playing just at a whole nother level. Someone's gonna say, "What in the world? What kind of approach? All we have is melody and harmony. What is he talking about?" There is an approach that is greater than looking at this harmonically or melodically, because yes, I can come up with different chords both ways. Oh, by the way, harmonically means I'm thinking in terms of chord. Melodically means I'm thinking of it in terms of one note. So melodic, think singing. What would I sing during this? And then chords that fit with that. Harmonically just says, okay, what chords would work here? And now you're thinking in terms of chords and chordal progressions. But I'm saying that there's a way that beats both of those. I just love holding the internet world in suspense. I need to stop being bad. Someone's gonna leave the video. Leave. All right. If you want to leave, leave now. You'll never get it. Anyway, yes, you will. Check this out. The way that will work better than all these approaches is vocally. Vocally. You guys don't understand. I blow my own mind when I'm rewatching these videos. But let me tell you something. If you look at this from a vocal perspective, it'll totally beat all of the other perspectives to the ground. Growing up, I used to listen to. I remember listening to Manhattan Transfer. And some of the stuff that they used to do vocally, to this day, I still don't understand. And it's really interesting because, transcribing musicians, I can, there's some difficult ones, but it's difficult, but I can get it done. But ask me to transfer a transcribe a group that has some serious vocal harmony going on. That's a whole nother world. It's a whole nother world. Why am I saying vocally? Because when you're dealing with vocals, each note stands on its own. Everybody in the group almost has their own. It's almost like everyone in the group has their own song, as it were. It's not like a choir. It's different than a choir. When I'm talking about the type of vocal harmony, I'm talking about like jazz harmony, like Take 6. It's different than a choir. In a choir, you got your regular 3-part harmony, and they pretty much are going to use. You can think in terms of harmonically with a choir because most choirs are going to, use major chords or minor chords or diminished chords or whatever. But when you are with a group that the arrangement has been thought of to fit those voices, it has nothing to do with chords. Like each note just stands on its own. And so now, I'm not even going to try to play it because transcribing vocals is very difficult. But those of you who are in vocal groups know what I'm talking about. And I'm talking about serious vocal groups that can stand on their own a cappella. Where sometimes, in the middle of a phrase, your tenor takes the melody and then switches it to alto, taking it almost like they're handing it off to the altos, and then and then they're going on. And when you can think vocally, now someone's gonna say, what would you suggest we do to get that? Well, I would suggest what I'm doing with music. You transcribe. You basically would have to listen to vocals. You have to think like a vocalist. But you're gonna have to think. Some of you aren't. When I say think like a vocalist, I'm saying think of in a vocal group. Choose a group whose harmony that you like. Trying to remember the name of pentatonics. You got to think like a vocal group. And when you think like a vocal group, the difference with thinking vocally is that when you're thinking melodically, you're thinking of one note, right? When you're thinking harmonically, you're thinking chords. So you are restricted to the chords that you know. You can only play chords. You're not gonna. If you play chords that you don't even know what they are, then you don't know what you're doing. You're just mashing notes, right? You don't. You just don't. You just throwing stuff together. And a lot of people do that, and they shouldn't. If you're thinking harmonically, you should play what you know. You should know this is why I'm playing this progression to get here and whatever. But if you're thinking vocally, you're not even thinking in terms of chords. You're thinking in terms of vocals. Where each note sits within the structure of the sound. How am I blowing my own mind here? I'm like sitting here. What do I say next? Someone's like, show me an example. Just take the theory and figure that one out yourself. But I can guarantee you that if you start thinking in terms of each note standing on its own and thinking like a vocalist, how about this? I just thought of an idea. When you get here, arrange it as you would arrange it for a vocal group. It's kind of like you're like thinking melodically but advanced. Like, okay, here's what I want my tenor to do. Here's what I would want my alto to do. Here's what I would want my bass person to do. And now each note is being looked at separately in relation to each. I think arranging in that manner would take a lot of time. Would definitely take a lot of time. But it's just that I think that looking at it that way is definitely going to, try it. Let me know what you come up with. But I think it would blow your own mind. And I think it would blow my mind.